This page is the front cover of Dreamcast magazine, issue 4 from January 2000, boasting the headline Millennium Countdown and promoting itself as the ultimate guide to Dreamcast gaming for the year 2000. It's highlighting 128-bit technology and online gaming as key features. The cover image features 3 muscular game characters, clearly action-oriented titles. Down at the bottom it teases some of the games inside this issue, including Shadow Man, Slave Zero, WWF Attitude, and Fighting Force 2 amongst others. It's priced at £2.95. This page is an advert for the European Sonic Speed Challenge, in partnership with Reebok DMX. It's a bit of a cheeky one, featuring the headline, "Kiss My Sweet Italian Butt," alongside a time of 1 minute 26.4 seconds, which is presumably the target to beat in this Sonic Speed Challenge. You can see Sonic the Hedgehog himself at the bottom, and a rather glamorous woman wearing big white sunglasses on the right. They are offering exclusive Sonic and Reebok prizes if you're fast enough, mentioning checking out Dream Arena or Sonic Adventure for more details. The promotion is closing on the 14th of January, 2000. They're also giving away a specially designed Dreamcast pod, and you can download a special Reebok DMX course from the Sonic homepage. It seems like a competition to see who is the fastest Sonic player in Europe. The next page is a double-page spread. On the left there's a bold advert for Gameplay.com, declaring them mad about life, serious about games. It features a woman enthusiastically playing a Dreamcast, surrounded by game cases and accessories like a steering wheel, all to emphasize the "Get into Gameplay" slogan. They're pushing their online store, with promises of over 3,000 games at low prices, advice from real players, a money-back guarantee, free UK delivery, a catalogue, and a free gift with every order. You can visit their website Gameplay.com, call the mailsum, or even use interactive TV. They're clearly covering all bases for game purchases. Flipping over to the right we've got the highlights page, which is essentially the editor's letter. It's teasing a feature called A Never-Ending Story on page 24 about the console wars, asking, will the console wars never end? There's also a section promoting the Dreamcast's online capabilities with www.online.com, directing readers to page 74 for tips on getting the most from their net-ready Dreamcast. Editor Russell Barnes mentions it's the Millennium Countdown issue, and that Christmas is just around the corner. He highlights the game reviews in this issue, including Worldwide Soccer 2000, Wafer Striker, Shadow Man, Fighting Force 2, and Evergreen Worms Armageddon, which are reviewed from page 16 onwards and page 50. He also mentions a Dreamcast key software piece further in the magazine. It's setting the scene for the January 2000 issue, which is page 5. This page showcases the contents for issue 4 of the magazine, dated January 2000. We're looking at the lineup for this edition, starting with a showcase piece on Sega Worldwide Soccer 2000. The preview section is packed with upcoming games including Evolution, Grand Theft Auto 2, Rally Championship, Resident Evil 2, Sega GT, Slave Zero, Stunt GP, Tee-Off, and Vigilante 8, Second Offense. Moving on to the reviews, it seems they've been busy with a good selection of titles including Fighting Force 2, NBA Showtime, NFL Blitz 2000, NFL Quarterback Club 2000, Revolt, Shadow Man, Snow Surfers, Worms Armageddon, and WWF Attitude. There are also feature articles, like A Never-Ending Story probably about the ongoing console wars, Infogrames into 2000, a Millennium Countdown feature, something on import games, the showcase on Worldwide Soccer 2000 again, and a piece on getting online with www.online.com. Finally, under regulars we have the usual Cheat Code Central, Forum, Newscast, Next Month Preview, and subscription details. Visually, we get a glimpse of Stunt GP and Vigilante 8. Second Offense, with some screenshots accompanying their listings, suggesting their key previews in this issue. This forum discusses Dreamcast experiences and opinions. Readers share varied perspectives. Mark praises successful PAL conversions, citing games like Virtua Fighter 3 TH. Tit enthusiastically discusses online gaming with a 56K modem, and wonders about its limited adoption. Born Slippy criticizes 50/60ths of a Hertz conversion issues causing game delays, using Bloody Striker as an example. A brief FAQ confirms keyboard availability inquiries. Steve, a reader, critiques recent magazine content, desiring more in-depth game reviews, especially for imports. He expresses disappointment with demo discs, and praises games like SoulCalibur. He emphasizes his continued support for Dreamcast's quality, despite the PlayStation's popularity. Finally, A Londoner discusses the console's sales gap with PlayStation, noting price cuts and improved online features. He believes Dreamcast is still a good purchase and hopes for the console's future, hinting at a possible Dreamcast 2. This Dreamcast gaming news features highlights on several upcoming titles and accessories. The legacy continues, previews Soul Reavers on the Dreamcast, promising significant improvements over the PlayStation version. Vrali comes to Dreamcast, suggests Vrali will be vastly improved on the DC, including a course editor. Other sections cover various topics. The chips are down, warns about Dreamcast mod chips and their potential risks. Going live and online, announces the launch of a Dreamcast internet site offering cheats, saves and reviews. Stop Press includes quick updates. F355 Challenge is getting an update. PlayStation controller adapters are mentioned. A VMU data copying device is highlighted. A potential Hydro Thunder sequel is hinted at, and a Japanese company is entering the DC market. This magazine page previews upcoming Dreamcast games: Death Crimson 2, Power Smash Tennis, Alien Breed Conflict, and War Monkeys. Sega is hosting online Sonic contests, sponsored by @ANTAT, offering special downloadable levels. The Essential Reading section reviews a Dreamcast internet guide. In global news, Sega of Japan faces scrutiny from the Japan Fair Trade Commission regarding alleged price controls. The Stuff Dreams Are Made Of mentions a Fuji TV with a built-in Dreamcast, only for Japan. Into the Groove covers a Dreamcast sequencer. Shenmue's release date is moved to December 29th in Japan. The Dreamcast has sold 1 million units in North America, with strong software sales. Lastly, Sega is releasing a new email program, Dreamflyer, for Dreamcast, PC and Mac. Dreamcast owners have exciting news. Jakarta and FreeServe are collaborating on an internet games channel. Virtua Fighter 4 is hinted at, with promises of impressive 3D visuals. Toy Commander gets a Christmas mission where players recover Santa's presents. Namco reaffirms its support with upcoming titles, potentially including SoulCalibur. Logic 3 unveils a top drive podium for comfortable racing gameplay. Shiny Entertainment's Messiah is in development, boasting a new storyline and crazy gameplay. Fresh screenshots of the delayed D2 are shown. Finally, winners of a Dreamcast competition are announced: Kieran Fowley, Jeffrey Faulkner, Claire Turner, Jamie Stevenson and Daniel Mogg. This page is all about Sega Worldwide Soccer 2000. Seems Sega's having a go at Wafer Striker with this one. It's from Silicon Dreams, who are in-house at Sega now, originally started as Eidos and then were bought out. Apparently they've done a fair few World League Soccer games in the past, and some UEFA Champions League games, so they know their football. The preview mentions it's a quick 1-2, move in on the goalie type of game, and they even got Simon Brew doing some commentary on the sidelines. There's a bit about the development being a bit chaotic, with employees surprised and a bit flustered by deadlines, but they're pulling it all together. Dean Landucci is quoted saying it's a passion project for him, and he's happy to put in the hours, mentioning his team includes people called PR manager, backroom boy, dog shoddy, mincer, and does very little. Typical football banter there. It's being touted as the first Dreamcast footy title, and they're aiming for that arcade feel, rather than pure simulation. Sega Worldwide Soccer 2000 is being positioned as a top-tier Dreamcast football title. Developers are aiming for a fun, arcade-style experience with depth, comparing it favorably to classics like Kickoff 2 and ISS Pro 98. While acknowledging potential graphical limitations, the developers emphasize gameplay and a smooth frame rate. They highlight an arcade feel with accessible controls and significant replay value. The game promises a good selection of options and aims to surprise players with new elements. The developers, including Giles Parker and Dave Rutter, are enthusiastic, seeing it as a clear winner in the competitive football game market, directly challenging established franchises like FIFA and ISS Pro. They are hoping to make Sega Worldwide Soccer 2000 the definitive football experience on the Dreamcast. This page is a review of Sega Worldwide Soccer 2000, continuing from the previous page's preview. The review highlights some of the game's quirky details, like finding graffiti on the training ground walls, and even jokes about pubescent autograph hunters being absent. It talks about the game's options, emphasizing the ability to customize the experience and the intuitive control scheme. The gameplay section points out that a good tactic is to shoot when you get stuck in the box, as rebounds are likely. It also mentions the game's simple setup and how easy it is to get into a competitive game. Set pieces are praised for being well done and easy to use, allowing for quick and effective plays. The reviewer concludes that the game is hugely playable and a good bit of fun, especially for casual pick-up-and-play sessions, suggesting it's a strong contender for football fans on the Dreamcast, particularly for those wanting a more arcade-style experience. The next page is an advert for a competition to win Soul Fighter branded Dreamcasts and copies of the game. It mentions that Soul Fighter scored a whopping 8 out of 10 in Dreamcast Monthly. To win one of 3 exclusive Dreamcasts or 10 runner-up prizes of the game, readers are asked to answer the question, how many controllable characters are there in Soul Fighter? Entries need to be sent on a postcard by January 30th to the address provided. The correct answer and list of winners will be in issue 6 of the magazine. This page is a feature article called A Never-Ending Story, reflecting on the Dreamcast's place in the console market as new machines are on the horizon, likely referencing the upcoming PlayStation 2. The article argues that despite the hype around new consoles, exciting new machines don't automatically mean exciting new original games. It points out that quantity of games can swamp quality, and before you know it, console exodus isn't so cool anymore. It suggests Dreamcast is getting originality, becoming a holy grail for developers, allowing them to create games quicker using new tools. It mentions Tomb Raider 2, as a computer game, and references Sonic Adventure as a Dreamcast title. A developer, Dave Wayman from Creative Edge, is quoted, saying he'd much rather have a Dreamcast with a faster processor and extra polygons, suggesting developers are keen to push the hardware to its limits to make better games. The article concludes by pondering if the games of the future will be based on franchises, and if gamers will get the games they truly want, and if they will be worth playing. It's a reflective piece on the console cycle, and the importance of game originality over just hardware power. The next page showcases Stunt GP, and blimey, doesn't it look a bit of alright? This is proper remote control racing, but on steroids, mind you. Team 17 are behind this one, bless them, and Acclaim are publishing it. A solid pairing, I reckon. It's all about high-speed action with these futuristic-looking radio-controlled cars, ripping around tracks that are just bonkers loops and jumps galore. You know the drill, but on a grander scale. They've got 16 cars apparently, and power-ups to keep things interesting. Sounds like proper arcade fun. Looking at the screenshots, they've nailed that sense of speed, and the tracks look really inventive, full of ramps and obstacles. It's described as miniature racing in a high-speed world, which sounds spot on. They mention the turbo battery, which I bet is essential for those cheeky overtakes. There's a bit with Martin Brown from Team 17, the head honcho, and he's saying they've spent 3 years developing it to get the gameplay spot on, aiming for something that looks different and is just good fun to play. He mentions physics, so hopefully it's not just a simple arcade racer, and there's some depth to it. It's down as action/adventure, set for release in the first quarter of 2000. Certainly looks like another unique offering for the Dreamcast, fitting in with the idea of originality we were just reading about, wouldn't you say? Stunt GP emphasizes its stunt-focused gameplay, highlighting a detailed physics engine allowing for dynamic car control and impressive stunts. The game features a flying nightmare aspect, centered on aerial maneuvers and precise landings. Character building and car performance are linked to the physics, influencing handling through weight distribution and cornering angles. Players can upgrade their cars with enhancements like improved brakes and acceleration. Objectives involve progressing through tracks, unlocking new cars, and optimizing performance. The game incorporates a damage system that doesn't overly penalize players, ensuring continuous racing after collisions. Diverse locations like Japanese gardens and beaches promise variety. The game's quirky style and focus on stunts are reminiscent of the Dreamcast era, making it a promising title. The next page showcases 2 Dreamcast titles. On the left, we have Evolution, the World of Sacred Device from Ubisoft, slated as a traditional RPG for January 2000. It's touted as bringing classic RPG gameplay to the Dreamcast, emphasizing its fully polygonal world with crisp graphics and a manga-inspired art style. The preview mentions easy-to-use battle menus and a focus on exploration and character interaction. There are a few screenshots showing in-game characters and combat scenarios. On the right side is Sega GT, a racing game from Sega set for release in Q2 2000, positioned as Sega's answer to Gran Turismo. The text focuses on its realistic handling and road surfaces, promising over 100 real cars from over 10 world-renowned manufacturers, including BMW M3, McLaren F1, and Ferrari F355. It mentions customizable cars and online play capabilities. The screenshots display various racing scenes, with different cars on track. It states there will be in excess of 100 real cars in total. This page showcases a couple of rather different games. On the left, it's all about Grand Theft Auto 2, which was already causing a stir back then with its controversial callous and cool tagline. It's previewed as being even more outrageous than the original, emphasizing the freedom to cause mayhem, engage in carjacking, and bombing. The screenshots show the top-down perspective gameplay with explosions and car chases. They mention tweaks and changes being made to keep players on their toes. Flipping over to the right side, we've got Resident Evil 2 for the Dreamcast. This preview poses the question stopgap gaming, suggesting it might be filling the time before Code Veronica. It talks about extra modes of play and gore being intact from the PlayStation version. Screenshots include in-game scenes and character portraits, including Claire Redfield. They are highlighting the graphical improvements on the Dreamcast, but acknowledge it's still based on the PlayStation version. Interestingly, there's also an advert for fast effective relief from all your gaming headaches, with a bottle labeled PlayStation, and a warning to consult PlayStation strategies first. It lists games like GTA 2, Spyro 2, Final Fantasy V2i, and Dino Crisis as causes of these headaches. Bit of a cheeky advert that, considering both GTA 2 and Resident Evil 2 are featured on the page. The next page features Vigilante 8, Second Offense, right in your face with a massive title and a car exploding in the background. Classic stuff. It's previewed as the sequel, moving the storyline on with extra bells and whistles. Basically more of the same, but bigger and better, which is exactly what you want from a sequel, isn't it? They're talking up the high-octane combat, improved graphics, and plenty of new characters and locations. Apparently, it's got a stronger storyline this time around, set in 2015 after the Vigilantes defeated the Coyote terrorists in the original game. The story continues with new villains emerging, like Omar, Lord Clyde, and a time machine is involved to mess with the past. There's a section showcasing new weapons under the heading Go for Your Guns, with names like Tantrum Gun, Rolling Thunder, Wheel of Fortune, Super Saucer Invasion, Blazing Glory, Mega Collider, Crusher, Hades Gate, Rift Blade and Disco Inferno. Sounds like they've gone all out with the crazy weaponry. Screenshots show in-game action, with cars battling in various environments, explosions aplenty, and even a character shot of a woman who looks like she's stepped straight out of a retro sci-fi film. They mention it's from Luxoflux, published by Activision, and due out in January 2000, so right around the corner at the time. It's promising to be a proper over-the-top blast, perfect for a bit of multiplayer mayhem. Vigilante 8, Second Offense, revives the Auto Combat series with a time-bending storyline set in 2015. New villains like Sheila, John Torque, and Molo clash with returning Lord Clyde and a cast of fresh characters, including Boogie, Chassis Blue, and the bizarre future Cyber Ninja and Bob-O. Players can customize vehicles, utilizing special weapons, and new models like the Samson tow truck and the Mega Collider. Gameplay enhancements include a quest mode, and salvage points for upgrades. The sequel boasts improved action, explosions and visuals, with a focus on deeper gameplay, surprising moments and enhanced controls. The article promises a visually engaging experience, positioning Second Offense as a significant step up from its predecessor, delivering even more chaotic vehicular combat. This page showcases a couple of crackers coming to the Dreamcast. On the left we have a preview of Red Dog Superior Firepower, described as an ultra-destructive and ultra-sexy game, which sounds right up my street. It's shaping up to be a CGI 3D action shoot-'em-up, with aliens, plenty of explosions and chaos, all designed to show off the Dreamcast's graphical muscle. They mention upgrading weapons, and the enemy aliens being rather nasty. It's promising a proper action fest, which is exactly what you want. Latte 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 latte. Over on the right, there's a look at Rally Championship. This one's aiming to be the ultimate rally simulation on the Dreamcast. They're talking about proper rally driving with fully working dials in the cockpit, realistic car damage and all the lighting effects you'd expect, like headlights and spotlights. It's set to feature 36 official British Rally Championship courses and boast a good variety of game modes, including network play. Sounds like a solid racer for the console if you're a fan of tearing up the countryside in a rally car. Both games look like they will push the Dreamcast hardware and offer some good variety for players. This page features a preview of Tee-Off, which is being touted as the first golf game for the Dreamcast. Developed by Bottom Up and published by Acclaim as a sports sim, slated for release in early 2000. The preview text suggests it's a bit of light-hearted fun, asking if you're buried deep in a bunker or invited to the clubhouse for a quick pint. The article seems to be fairly positive, highlighting that the game spoon-feeds which club is best to use and goes into detail on character stats, which is good for approachability. They mention it's very cartoon-like in style, reminiscent of Japanese games, and the characters are quite distinctive. There's talk about 4 characters to choose from, each with strengths and weaknesses affecting power, control, spin, luck and wisdom. Game modes are listed as World Tour, Free Round, Clubhouse Express, G-Ball, Point Tourney, Stroke Play and Match Play, so plenty to keep you busy. Garrus, the review quote, boldly claims, Acclaim hasn't missed a single thing. There are loads of options, and an unpredictability element that could have been overlooked, which sounds rather enthusiastic. Overall, it seems like a decent, accessible golf game aiming for a broad appeal on the Dreamcast. Slave Zero, a Dreamcast shoot-'em-up from Accolade and Infogrames, is previewed, aiming for an early 2000 release. Inspired by action titles like Quake and GoldenEye, the game features fast-paced action with visuals showcasing a biomechanical warrior named East 19 battling a dictator, Sovkhan. Players will lead a rebellion to bring peace. The developers highlight the Dreamcast's power, enabling a superior version compared to the PC, and emphasize the console's ease of development. Producer Matt Powers calls the Dreamcast the most powerful console. The game aims to fill the gap for action shooters on the system. Screenshots promise intense action and varied environments, positioning Slave Zero as a promising addition to the Dreamcast's library for action fans. The Dreamcast version of Slave Zero mirrors the PC version, with the key distinction being its multiplayer mode. The Dreamcast version supports up to 4 players simultaneously across various maps, although character models are slightly simplified. Developers dedicated months to optimizing the Dreamcast experience. Anime heavily influenced the game's aesthetic, drawing inspiration from Neon Genesis Evangelion, along with classic monster movies and shows like Grandizer, Mazinger, and Godzilla. The game features human pilots controlling humanoid robots, emphasizing the pilots themselves. Development focused on streamlining the content creation pipeline. Localization into multiple European languages delayed the release, emphasizing the importance of a wider audience. Early reception has been positive, with the Dreamcast version expected to be the more successful due to a lack of similar titles. The game utilizes the proprietary Ecstasy engine, allowing for multi-platform support and detailed environments. The Dreamcast's upcoming year 2000 is highlighted by a strong showing from Infogrames. Test Drive 6 April boasts licensed cars and global locations with customizable and destructible environments. Rally 2 June challenges Gran Turismo with improved features, 26 tracks, a track editor, and damage mechanics. Alone in the Dark 4 November promises a dark, Lovecraftian horror adventure with impactful player choices. Supreme Snowboarding, November, offers realistic environments, dynamic weather, and multiplayer options for winter sports enthusiasts. Finally, Wacky Races, June, brings cartoon racing chaos based on the classic TV show. The article highlights the trend of car customization in racing games and Supreme Snowboarding's diverse gameplay modes. This Dreamcast Monthly magazine issue features a strong warning against software piracy, published by Elsper, highlighting criminal consequences like fines and jail time. The magazine then presents its contents page, showcasing game reviews for titles like Fighting Force 2, NBA Showtime, Revolt, and Shadow Man. A casting vote section explains the magazine's rating system, ranging from a perfect 10 masterpiece to a dismal 1, avoid at all costs. The main review is for Shadow Man, an action-adventure game portrayed as a potential competitor to Tomb Raider, with accompanying images of the game. This review of Shadow Man, a double-page spread, highlights a dark and atmospheric action game. The review is overwhelmingly positive, praising the game's graphics, presentation, and especially its dark, disturbing atmosphere. The story, based on the comic, follows Mike Leroy the Shadow Man as he battles evil forces, including 5 mass murderers, to prevent Armageddon. The game features a complex inventory system, improved controls, and impressive characterization, voice acting, and lighting. The review notes humorous dialogue, alongside frightening elements, and highlights memorable encounters. A coming soon box teases the PlayStation hit, Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain, positioning it as a potential rival. This review of Shadow Man for the Dreamcast highlights its mature themes and extreme violence, claiming it features some of the most violent scenes on the console. The imagery and gameplay screenshots showcase a dark and moody atmosphere, emphasizing the game's disturbing nature, including references to Jack the Ripper. The review praises the game's imaginative design and immersive world, featuring detailed environments like blood-splattered asylums and earthy outdoor areas. Developed by Iguana and published by Acclaim, Shadow Man is categorized as an adventure game and receives a score of 9 out of 10. The verdict recommends it as a top choice for horror fans, comparing it favorably to Soul Reaver, and further emphasizes the game's dark and evil experience. This page is a review of Fighting Force 2 for the Dreamcast. Graphically impressive is the first thing that springs to mind, even though the reviewer notes Hawk Manson isn't quite as easy on the eye as luscious Lara Croft, but he still has some pretty sharp moves, and a cool first-person mode. The graphics and overall game presentation are said to be second to none, with impressive visuals and smooth gameplay. The reviewer mentions it's a step up from the original Fighting Force on PlayStation and Sega Saturn, which was received poorly. They praise the detailed environments, mentioning everything from computer monitors to drinks machines, and highlight the game's immediate playability and involving storyline. The combat is described as third-person action, with elements reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid-style sneaking and Zelda-type weapons. It's noted that the plot is actually quite involving, offering an edge of realism that's rarely explored. The reviewer thinks Fighting Force 2 is a top-dog Dreamcast title, comparing it to other games like Sonic Adventure and Shadow Man, but suggesting it improves upon them in some ways. The review gives it a solid 8 out of 10, and concludes that it's a must-play for Dreamcast owners, particularly praising the graphics and overall presentation. There's also a little character profile section discussing Hawk Manson's background as a U.S. Marine and freelance security advisor, adding some depth to the protagonist. Worms Armageddon is lauded as an incredibly addictive, turn-based strategy game for the Dreamcast. The review highlights its enduring appeal, citing its blend of British humor, explosive weaponry, like exploding bananas and flying sheep, and chaotic gameplay. The game's addictive nature is emphasized, with the developer acknowledging their intention for it to be highly engaging. The review details various gameplay elements, including weapon tutorials for features like Super Sheep and Little Old Ladies, acting as a mini-guide. Featuring 55 weapons including new additions, the game offers varied combat and strategic depth. Overall, Worms Armageddon is recommended as a must-have for Dreamcast owners seeking fun and engaging gaming sessions. The next page features a continuation of the Worms Armageddon review. Still banging on about how much fun it is and how you can lose mates over it. Classic Worms, really. They're highlighting the training modes and the depth of gameplay, mentioning the sheer amount of weapons you get to play with. Over 55 by the sounds of it, including exploding bananas and flying sheep, the usual mad stuff. It's got a cracking 8 out of 10 verdict. Then over on the right, there's a review of NFL Quarterback Club 2000. Seems like they were expecting some kind of deep strategy game, but found it's more of a fast-paced arcade experience, which they seem to quite like. They mention it's bloody hard to get into, but once you do, it's rewarding. They reckon it's realistic enough for casual gamers but still engaging for hardcore fans. It scores a solid 7 out of 10. There's also a little box about peripherals where they're saying the controls for NFL Blitz 2000 can be a bit tricky, even though the stick works well, but all the other buttons are a bit complicated. So maybe stick to the standard Dreamcast pad for that one then. This page kicks off with a review of NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC, and it sounds like they're seeing it as a bit of a Dreamcast update to NBA Jam from back in the day. They're calling it pure arcade nature, and reckon it's a worthy home conversion. From the screenshots, it's definitely got that over-the-top, fast-paced basketball vibe they were aiming for. They mention mad dunking action, and some extra game modes and players to keep things interesting. It seems they think Midway could have gone to town more on the graphics front given what the Dreamcast can do with 128-bit tech, but overall they think it's a fun, pick-up-and-play experience, especially with mates around. They're not too keen on the lack of team selection in single-player mode, saying the CPU just randomly picks your opponent. The verdict score is a solid 4 out of 5, so not a perfect score, but still a decent recommendation if you're after some arcade basketball action on your Dreamcast. Revolt, published by Acclaim and developed by Probe, is a racing game featuring remote control cars in unusual indoor environments. The review praises its creative tracks, described as weird and wonderful. While not perfect, the game has plenty of fine qualities. Players can create their own tracks, adding longevity. The Dreamcast version, already released on PlayStation, offers a significant visual upgrade, featuring detailed reflections. It supports 1 to 4 players, and costs £39.99. The Dreamcast version is expected to be visually superior to its PlayStation counterpart. Tinker. This page reviews 2 games. Revolt, a remote control car racing game, receives positive feedback for its strategic gameplay, vehicle customization, and track design featuring shortcuts and unique environments like dinosaur exhibits. The review highlights the visual upgrades on the Dreamcast compared to the PlayStation version. Snow Surfers, a snowboarding title, focuses on trick-based gameplay, emphasizing finding hidden areas for stunts and linking combos. It's described as arcade-style action, different from Cool Borders. Despite having only 5 courses, replayability is encouraged through trick exploration. The game earns a 6/10, suggesting it's a decent title for fans of trick snowboarding. Finally, there's a preview for Sega's Supreme Snowboarding, coming soon. This page reviews WWF Attitude, the first wrestling game to arrive on the Dreamcast. It's given a middling score of 5 out of 10, suggesting it's a bit of a mixed bag. Published and developed by Acclaim, this beat-em-up title supports 1 to 4 players, and is priced at £39.99. The review mentions the bone-bending system, highlighting the fluid wrestler animations and logical moves. They also praise the extensive Create Wrestler mode, allowing for deep customization. However, the reviewer feels it doesn't truly utilize the Dreamcast's power. Graphics are described as looking a bit like cardboard cutouts, and the sound isn't anything special. The AI is also criticized for not being very realistic. There's a sense it feels like a direct port from the PlayStation, possibly rushed due to licensing issues with Acclaim, hinting that they may have had to redo motion capture and character models quickly. The overall verdict suggests that while acceptable for the console's early days, direct PlayStation ports may not be good enough going forward. This page features a review for NFL Blitz 2000 on the Dreamcast, and it sounds like a right laugh. They're saying, if you want a proper American football simulation, look elsewhere, but if you want pure arcade style, over-the-top gridiron action, this is your ticket. Midway's arcade heritage shines through here, and they reckon it's a blast, especially with mates. The review highlights how simple and immediate the gameplay is, praising the control system as the best they've encountered in a gridiron game. They're keen on the pure, simple, unadulterated fun aspect, and how it avoids feeling like a turn-based strategy game. It's all about fast-paced action, easy to pick up and play, but with enough depth for seasoned players too. Visually, they are impressed, saying it's smooth and flowing and nicely detailed for a Dreamcast title. They even mention cheat codes and hidden extras, which we all loved back then. Overall, they've given it a solid 8 out of 10, saying it's a superb and playable arcade experience, and well worth a look in for a bit of multiplayer fun. Published and developed by Midway, it's priced at £39.99, supporting 1 to 4 players, and falls into the American football genre. This page reviews 2 Dreamcast imports, Zombie Revenge and NBA 2K. Zombie Revenge, a Sega action title, is praised for its improved visuals compared to House of the Dead, detailed backgrounds, and satisfying beat-em-up gameplay with a variety of weapons. It receives a score of 8/10. NBA 2K, a sports simulation from Visual Concepts, is lauded for its attention to detail, realistic atmosphere, and impressive replay system. The review notes the game's hardcore gameplay, aimed at basketball fans, and also awards it an 8/10. Additionally, there's an advertisement for warehouse prices, featuring Dreamcast games like Sonic Adventure and FIFA 2000, all under £30. The ad promotes Willrons.com as a new company offering wholesale prices and contests. The next page is an advertisement, primarily pushing subscriptions to Dreamcast Monthly magazine. It's got a big, bold subscribe headline, and is shouting about saving over 30%. It mentions it's the UK's best Dreamcast review magazine, and boasts about being 100% unofficial and unbiased, which was a key selling point back then. They're offering 13 issues a year, with prices for the UK, Europe, and the rest of the world, and you can start your subscription from the next issue. Below the subscription ad, there's a section promoting back issues. You can see covers of previous Dreamcast Monthly issues, featuring Sonic Adventure, SoulCalibur, Wafer Striker, and South Park. Each cover highlights the main review game inside that issue. There's a form to order back issues at £3.95 each, again covering UK, Europe, and worldwide prices. This page is all about getting your Dreamcast online. It's titled www.online.com and sort of acts as a guide for getting the best out of the Dreamcast's internet capabilities. It's suggesting using bookmarks, or as they call them here, Bookhim, for your favorite websites, mentioning Yahoo and Dogpile as examples of search engines you might use. They also highlight the Internet Movie Database, IMDb, as a site you can access, calling it a leviathan of celluloid information. The article goes on to explain that the Dreamcast uses the internet via phone lines, which is pretty standard for the time, and points out the convenience of the Dreamcast having a built-in modem, meaning no messy cables cluttering up your lounge. It even touches on the cost of being online, mentioning phone bills, and comparing it to the cost of going to the arcade, suggesting it's possibly a cheaper alternative for entertainment in the long run if you use it wisely. At the bottom, there's a CNN Millennium Series advert which is a bit random, and the usual Dreamcast Monthly magazine details for January 2000. So overall, it's a helpful guide for Dreamcast owners wanting to dip their toes into the World Wide Web. This text focuses on the Dreamcast's internet capabilities and multimedia features. It begins with troubleshooting internet connection problems, covering common issues like splitters and incorrect passwords. It also touches on slow website loading due to JavaScript, referencing the Internet Movie Database. The text then delves into the Dreamcast's VMU, detailing customization options and downloadable content, including Dream files. It highlights the browser disk for online access and explains how the console handles memory and cookies. Further, it explores downloading content to the VMU from websites like Dreamcast HQ. The text also discusses playing MP3s on the Dreamcast and its limitations with compressed sound files. Finally, it mentions flash file support, positioning the Dreamcast as a multimedia device beyond just a gaming console. Cheat Code Central provides a list of cheat codes for various Dreamcast games. For Ready to Rumble Boxing, it offers fighting tips. Suzuki Alster Extreme Racing unlocks bikes and sessions. Speed Devils provides cheats for nitros and money. The House of the Dead 2 has codes for a Red Blood mode and weapons. Dynamite Cop unlocks a Tranquilizer gun bonus and the Bruno character. Millennium Soldier Expendable includes codes for lives, level skips, and credits. Below the codes is an advertisement for Cheats Unlimited, a premium phone line charging $60 per minute for more cheat codes for over 2,000 games, including many Dreamcast titles. This page showcases the front cover of the magazine, proclaiming Millennium Countdown in big letters with a visually striking orange and black cogs design, typical of the era. It's clearly the January 2000 issue of Dreamcast magazine, written by Simon Brew. Flipping over to the left side of the spread, you've got a few adverts, mostly from game shops. Newage Consoles is advertising consoles, and a whole heap of Dreamcast games, mentioning titles like Air Force Delta, Aerowings, The Bonkers Buggy Heat, Expendable, Hydro Thunder, The Brilliant Metropolis Street Racer, and even Pen Triathlon. They're pushing pre-orders and second-hand games too. Cyber+Net are also advertising their video game shop. And there's an ad for advertising in the magazine itself if you're a business. Video Game Center and Console King are also vying for your attention with their ads. Just typical magazine stuff really, alongside the main feature on the cover. This article reviews Dreamcast games in a countdown from 41 to 36. At number 41, Psychic Force 2012 receives harsh criticism and a DCM4 score. Mortal Kombat Gold, at number 40, is considered dated despite its improvements, also earning a DCM4. NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC, at number 39, is praised as the best basketball game on the console, and is awarded a DCM4. Buggy Heat, at number 38, is criticized for its poor controls, and gets a DCM5. Aerowings, at number 37, is a relaxed flight sim, suitable for those who enjoy good graphics and gets a DCM6. Finally, Dynamite Cop, at number 36, is a decent beat-em-up, providing a distraction and is awarded a DCM6. This page continues the Millennium Countdown with more Dreamcast game reviews and previews. Starting with number 35, Snow Surfers is reviewed and considered a reasonable snowboarding game effort for the Dreamcast, although it's noted for lacking innovation and getting a DCM score of 6. Moving to number 32, we have F1 World Grand Prix, which is reviewed and praised for being made by Masters of Formula 1 Games and is still officially licensed, also scoring a DCM 6. At number 31, WWF Attitude is reviewed. Despite being critical of PlayStation wrestling games, this Dreamcast version is considered a no-holds-barred wrestler and a good, fun game at its core, again receiving a DCM 6. Number 30 is NFL Quarterback 2000, a review noting the arrival of American football games on the Dreamcast, comparing it to British football games, and concluding it's a good game for American football fans, scoring a DCM 7. Moving to previews, number 33 is Tokyo Highway Challenge, highlighting a personal anecdote about someone buying a Dreamcast specifically for this game after enjoying Sega Rally 2. It gets a DCM 6 preview score. Lastly, at number 34, Chef's Love Shack is previewed, revealing it's a South Park game with references to the show, including characters and South Park t-shirts, and features a South Park tug-of-war mode, and it also receives a DCM 6 preview score. This page continues the Millennium Countdown with a look back at more Dreamcast titles. Starting with number 29, we have Street Fighter Alpha 3, reminding us of those classic beat-em-ups from the SNES and Mega Drive days. It's mentioned as a welcome sight for fans of the series and still looks good. Moving to number 28, there's Pen Pen, described as a rather odd and cute party game, praised for its quirks and novelty. At number 27, we have Millennium Soldier, expendable, harking back to the days of Commando and Ikari Warriors, offering a simple and straightforward blastathon with glossy graphics. For number 26, it's Incoming, Humanity Last Battle, an early Dreamcast title that combined flight sim and blaster elements, noted for its impressive graphics at the time. Then at number 25, we have Suzuki All-Star Extreme Racing, a motorbike racer highlighted for its enjoyable racing and sense of speed. Finally, at number 24, Racing Simulation Monaco GP is featured, a Formula One simulator emphasizing realism and detailed track design. The Millennium Countdown continues with a variety of games. Revolt, an RC car racer, is praised for its solid entertainment, earning an 8/10. NFL Blitz 2000, the American football game, also scores an 8/10, considered better than its predecessor. Fighting Force 2 receives an 8/10 for its beat-em-up gameplay. Hydro Thunder, a Dreamcast boat racer, is lauded for its simplicity and visuals, receiving a 7/10. Soul Fighter, a scrolling fighter, gets an 8/10 despite being single-player focused. Finally, Marvel vs. Capcom, a fast-paced fighter, earns a 7/10 for its extensive character roster and comparison to other popular fighters. This page continues the Millennium Countdown with a look at more Dreamcast titles. Kicking things off is Blue Stinger, a survival horror adventure with a score of 8 out of 10. It's described as a mix of genres, puzzle, action, romance and horror, with a Resident Evil vibe and set on Dinosaur Island. Next up is Toy Commander, also scoring an 8/10. This one's a unique concept where you control toy soldiers in a house, with a focus on multiplayer and a variety of game styles like mini-karting and combat. Jara. Moving on to football, Sega Worldwide Soccer 2000 gets an 8/10 as well. It's touted as a fun and accessible football game, great for playing with mates and enjoying a good time. FIFA Striker also scores an 8 out of 10. This football title is praised for its training mode, with a mention of Mr. Wenger, and the challenge of winning the title. Virtua Fighter 3 TB receives a 7 out of 10. It's seen as a solid arcade conversion, prioritizing gameplay, though perhaps not as visually stunning as Sega Rally. Lastly, Sega Bass Fishing also gets an 8/10. This one's a surprise hit, especially with the fishing rod controller. It's described as surprisingly engaging and relaxing, a good way to unwind. This page showcases more Dreamcast titles as part of the Millennium Countdown. First up, it's Worms Armageddon, still going strong with its unique brand of strategic invertebrate warfare and getting a solid DCM 8. They reckon it's the best of the bloody format. Warrington next we have Jimmy White's 2, Cue Ball, also scoring a DCM 8. They say it's a great conversion from the PC, capturing the snooker and pool experience on the Dreamcast, highlighting its considered control system. Then there's Shadow Man, earning a DCM 9. Based on the comic book, it's praised as a atmospheric adventure with nice graphics, a dark edge, and a very comfortable feel on the Dreamcast, making it a top adventure game. Mayast. Moving on to racing, Sega Rally 2, unsurprisingly, gets a DCM 8. It's hailed as a fantastic arcade racer hitting the Dreamcast and a must for rally fans, though they note it's not quite as graphically mind-blowing as perhaps expected compared to the arcade original. Speed Devils, another racer, picks up a DCM 9. This one's a bit more full-on, high-speed thrills, and they say it's got great visuals and frantic action, though perhaps slightly less serious than Sega Rally. Finally, Trick Style also grabs a DCM 9. This is described as a quality snowboarding title, emphasizing style and trick-based gameplay, offering a fresh and long-lasting experience for the Dreamcast. They reckon it's a real treat for action sports fans. The next page kicks off with Power Stone, which they've given an 8 out of 10. They're calling it a top beat-em-up, pure arcade heaven, praising its 3D graphics, sound and gameplay. Sounds like a right laugh for both single-player and with mates, and they reckon it's an essential purchase. Next up is the House of the Dead 2, also getting an 8. They're clearly excited, saying, oh yes, and comparing the light gun action to Time Crisis. They mention Watford's defense for some reason, but it's all about blasting zombies, standard light gun shooter fodder, but still looks like a good bit of fun. Then it's Ready to Rumble Boxing, scoring a cracking 9 out of 10. They reckon it's a surprise hit and a top boxing game on the Dreamcast, better than the other titles. They are saying it's more about fun and arcade action than serious boxing simulation. Cool. Finally, there's a preview of Sonic Adventure, and they are hyped, giving it a 9. They are calling it gob-stoppingly awesome and fresh air for the series. They acknowledge minor flaws but reckon they don't spoil the fun, and it's a step forward for Sonic games, urging readers to take a bow and enjoy it. The next page is all about SoulCalibur, and they've slapped a stonking 9 out of 10 on it, calling it a DCM classic. They're really going to town, claiming it's not just the best Dreamcast title ever, but one of the best all-round games full stop. Apparently, whatever console you're loyal to, you've got to play this. Gesture, there's a load of screenshots showing off the graphics. You can see Sophicia there with her shield, Mitsurugi looking all serious, and Nightmare looming menacingly. They're banging on about how good it looks, naturally, and the text is saying it's the fighting game for the millennium and will have you glued to your telly. They even mention it's a must-have even if you're a PlayStation or N64 owner and have mates with those consoles. Sounds like they think it's the absolute dog's bollocks and a proper system seller for the Dreamcast, something that will have your mates round constantly. This page looks like the front cover and a Dreamcast advert stuck together. On the left it's teasing Slave Zero for next month's issue and calling it rigorously showcased. It also mentions Shenmue getting a mammoth import review, which is good news as that's the one everyone's been waiting for. It says it's issue 5, on sale January 20th. The right side is a Simply Games advert for a UK Dreamcast at £169.99. They're pushing it as the hottest present with coolest prices and offering free Christmas delivery, 50 quid off vouchers and free gift wrapping, plus a free phone number to ring. They're also advertising games from £29.99, peripherals from £19.99, and keyboards from £19.99, promising price-beating guarantees. They're clearly trying to get people buying Dreamcasts for Christmas.